There's an art to the clapback, and I'm not talking about the messy, chaotic, quote unquote, I'm arguing with strangers on the internet 2 in the morning. It's the kind of clapback that comes from knowing who you are. The clapback that comes from healing, that comes from clarity. Because when you know yourself, you don't have to raise your voice, you don't have to match energy, you don't have to prove anything. You just respond with truth. And truth hits harder than anything else. Today we're breaking down the clapback as a skill, a boundary, a spiritual practice, and a form of self-respect. Now let's start with the basics. A clapback is not about being petty. It's not about being loud. It's not about embarrassing someone. Although you can embarrass somebody, you can be petty because plenty many times I have been petty. I have been known to embarrass someone, but I digress. A real clapback is a correction, a reset, a reminder. It's the moment you say, let me stop you right there. Or, you've got the wrong one today. Or, I'm not accepting the energy. A clapback is not about hurting someone. It's about protecting yourself. And that's the part people forget. Now, sometimes I do say you got the wrong one. But I have started, sometimes I've changed to be like, you got the right one because let me let you know something. That's just me though. I don't know about y'all. A reaction is emotional. A clapback is intentional. A reaction comes from the wound. A clapback comes from the healed version of yourself. A reaction is how dare you. A clapback is let me help you understand something. A reaction drains you. A clapback preserves you. When you're reacting, you're giving someone control. When you're clapping back, you're reclaiming it. I feel like now that I've grown, that I'm getting older, I'm seeing myself now. I don't have to react to everything. I don't have to do all that. Because one thing about when I was growing up, my mom always said, now, Jesus didn't respond to everything. And see, when I was younger, I never understood that. I was like, okay. And then when she be like, Jesus never responded. He didn't respond to everything. And I'd be like, well, you know what? I'm not Jesus. I'm going to respond. Because that's how I was when I was younger. Like, ever since I was younger, I always knew I wanted people to talk to me like they got some sense. If you ain't talking to me like you ain't got no sense, then we're not finna have a good conversation. Especially if you grown. Especially if you grown. If you ain't gonna talk to me like you got some good sense, ain't there's nothing to talk about. But that's just me though. I don't know how y'all behaved and everything, or reacted and everything, but that's just me. And here's the truth. Sometimes the clapback isn't even a sentence, it's a decision. Not responding, not explaining, not defending, not giving access, not entertaining the foolishness, not letting someone pull you out of character. Silence can be a clapback. Distance can be a clapback. Growth can be a clapback. Because the real gag is, not everyone deserves a front row seat to your peace. Let me say that again because that was just clockable. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your peace. And I'm glad I wrote that down. I'm glad I wrote it down because, everyone doesn't. They don't. Because the main people who try to get in that front row were the main ones who disrupted your peace before. They were the main ones that disrupted your peace. And when you are getting to a different point in your life, you're getting into a different season. Some people always think, oh, you're acting funny, or you're doing this, or you're doing that. No. I said this in my last episode. Sometimes you just grow out of people. You just grow out of certain folks. And that right there is the silence, the distance, the growth. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be, oh yeah, I'm grew from you and everything, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes A hushed mouth will tell everything. Sometimes. But then sometimes you just have people believe what they want to believe. You know, even if you try to give your side of the story, even if you try to say, well, you know what, this is what actually happened. Sometimes people are just going to believe what they want to believe. hmm And I can attest to that because sometimes when there were, let me go back to when I was in kindergarten. I had this teacher, mm, and every day it seemed like I was picked out to be picked on. And it seemed like every single day she would always pick on me. She would always write me up for no reason now. Some of those write-ups now were not even, wasn't even accessible really to be wrote up. One time she wrote me up because it said I spit on her. The other time said I slammed her hand in the cabinet. The other time, like, it was like a stack of write-ups she had on me for no reason now. One time it said I wouldn't get over on the wall in the line. And it was like, hold up. Like, I know you see all these other children running amok, acting up, but again, still, though, I'm the one that gets picked out on. Now, let's fast forward to when I was in third grade. Had a teacher, same, almost identical, just like that. Every time, seemed like I would always be the one who got picked out in her class. And it was like, seriously? Like, ain't nobody even doing nothing. First had my desk facing her. I gotta sit there and turn my neck around to read the bell ringer. You know, we had bell ringers back when I was in school. I don't think they do bell ringers now. They need to. They need to go start back doing bell ringers because, yeah. And, of course, I'm going to turn my desk around because who's going to hurt their neck? Just keep turning around looking at the definitions, looking at the words to be doing that. Man, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So I turned my desk around. I got rolled up because she said I had hit the boy's fingers with my desk. And I had smashed his fingers right there when I pushed my desk up. I did because, first of all, move your hand. Move your hand. All you had to do is move your hand. You wouldn't have got hurt. But you got hurt, you started crying. Oh, well. So what? I said, move your hand. Like, Then it was the time we had this club at my school. It was something dealing with I think it was a Christian club. Or whatever it was. I'm trying to remember. I think it was a Christian club we had. And, you know, they'll give us like something, because we worked on an activity, and they'll give us like a little bag and everything. So I had these scissors. Now, mind you, here's where the story adds up. The people who gave out the supplies and everything, they said, y'all keep the scissors because you're gonna need them when you come back next week to this club, because we're going to be doing but we're going to do activities and everything. So fast forward to the next day. I had my scissors. Of course, the scissors I got from the club. So we was doing something in class, doing some kind of project and anything. Now the teacher walked past my desk 3 times now. Saw I had these scissors. Saw that they were mine. Okay? Saw that they were mine. Another student hauled up and said, Miss such and such, Christian stole my scissors. I'm sitting there telling the teacher I did not steal. First of all, these ain't even his scissors. I didn't steal nobody's scissors. This not his scissors. These are my scissors. I got this from the club yesterday. She didn't want to hear it. I'm up and telling her, defending myself. These are not his scissors. You can ask the advisor of the club. They gave these scissors out yesterday. These are not his. I was telling her. Even some other kids say, those Christian scissors, I saw him pull those out his book bag. I saw him get those out his book bag. Actually, get them out his book bag. They're not whoever, such and such. Those are Christians on. Didn't want to hear it. Took the scissors, gave it to the other boy. Yeah. Gave it to the other boy now. And I'm up here sitting up about to cry because you ain't even trying to listen to me. You're not trying to listen to me. You're not trying to understand my point of view. And I'm like, really? I'm telling you, these are not his scissors. These are mine. You just go up here, take the scissors and give them to him. I see what type of time you want. It was, when I tell you that, now I have, and this all pertains to this episode. Now, when it comes to silence and everything, silence is my best friend. And when you get tired of defending stuff, you get tired of saying, "Oh, I didn't do this," or "That's not. These are mine." You get tired of that. When you have got sick and tired of doing certain things, and you done got sick and tired of just tired of repeating yourself, you'll understand. And it's just, when I look back at my life when I was younger, I'm like, you know what? I went through hell. I went through pure hell with some of these people. Shouldn't have to go through that. Didn't have to go through that. But I went through it. And I came out. I came out of the better. I came out of that. Those situations. I came out of those situations. When I think about that part of my life, I'd be like, you know what? I wish I could do things differently. I wish I could. I wish I could not just, I don't know how to put it, and like that kindergarten teacher. There was a child in class, and I remember the girl was like, "Oh, my stomach hurt, my head hurt and everything." And she was telling the teacher was like, "Oh, you're okay," and everything. Then she went to the nurse. The nurse gave her some medicine, I think. If I remember. The nurse gave her some medicine and everything. She came back to class. She still was feeling bad. So I remember me and another child. We got up. And I do remember this. We laid hands on the girl. Not like that, not like, "Oh yeah, we finna fight." No, we laid hands, we prayed for that girl. Because both of us grew up in church and everything. So we laid hands and we prayed. When I tell you, not even 5 minutes later, I think about 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, one of them, the girl said, I'm feeling better now. I'm feeling better now. And some of y'all be like, "Oh, that was because of the medicine." Baby, let me tell you right now. Yeah, medicine good and all. Yeah, medicine liquid form and all that, that's good and all. But when you got a healer that sits up high and looks down low, he will get there quicker than some medicine. Hello, somebody. Yeah, I do remember that. And the teacher wanted to write me up about that girl. She wanted to write me up and the other child. Or was it just me? Either way, she wanted to write me up for something. I wasn't even a bad child in her class. I wasn't even bad. I wasn't. But I'm not going to let nobody walk all over me. And I do remember how she sat there and took my candy and gave it to the other child. And the other child said that it wasn't even his candy. He said that I had took his candy. Mind you, my grandma had just bought me that candy the day before. And they always say you can have some snacks with you in class. So I decided to give me some Lifesaver. The Lifesaver gummies. The child said, "Oh, those are mine. Miss such and such, he took my candy." This still in kindergarten now. The teacher saw it, then took the candy out my hand, put it in the child's hand. The kids around me telling her that's not his candy, that's Christian candy. Christian bought that. Christian did. I saw Christian yesterday at Walmart buying the candy. That's his candy. Then after the big nose boy ate it, he said, "Oh yeah, this wasn't mine. This was Christian's." And then the teacher had the audacity to tell my mama, "Oh, I didn't know that was Christian candy." Lady, if I'm sitting up here crying, if I'm crying down hard, because you snatched something out of my hand, you took my candy, what does that tell you? And you call yourself a teacher, and you can't sit there and tell why a child is crying? Yeah. Well, let's get back on topic really quickly. So let's talk about the elders, because black folks have been mastering the clapback long before social media. Think about the aunties who could shut down a whole room in one sentence, the grandmas who could read you without raising their voice, the uncles who can end an argument with an eyebrow raise. They taught us that a clapback doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be accurate. It doesn't have to be mean. It just has to be true. And sometimes the truth is the loudest thing in the room. There are moments when the clapback is required, not because you're trying to be petty, but you're trying to protect your boundaries. You clap back when somebody lies on you, disrespects you, tries to shrink you, crosses a boundary you never gave them permission to touch, mistakes your kindness for your weakness, tries to rewrite your story. The clapback is not about ego. It's about alignment. It's about reminding people that you know who you are. But let's be real, not every situation deserves your energy. Some people want a reaction because they don't have access to your peace. Some people want chaos because they're uncomfortable with your growth. Some people want attention because they don't know how to get it any other way. And the most powerful clapback you can give is choosing not to play the game. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to respond to every misunderstanding. You don't have to correct every lie. Sometimes the clapback is simply, "I'm not available for that." The elevated clapback is grown, it's grounded, it's graceful, and it still gets the point across. It sounds like, "I'm not entertaining that. That's not my truth. I don't receive that. I said what I said respectfully. I'm moving differently now. This is not the conversation I'm willing to have. I wish you well, but I'm done engaging." It's not about winning. It's about protecting your peace. And here's the part people don't talk about. The clapback can be healing, because when you clap back from a place of clarity, you're not fighting. You're freeing yourself. You're freeing yourself from the old version of you, old expectations, old patterns, old wounds, old dynamics, old narratives. A healed clapback is not about shutting someone down. It's about lifting yourself up. The art of the clapback is not about being mean. It's about being clear. It's about honoring your boundaries. It's about protecting your peace. It's about refusing to let anyone pull you out of character. A good clapback doesn't just end a moment. It elevates you.